Please note that the content of this episode has explicit language and is not suitable for underage listeners. Hi, I'm CJ, and I've done phone sex for 24 years. Let's get started. Well, I'm back, and it's good to be back. I was away. Well, I wasn't really away. I was sick for a few weeks. That nasty cold thing that's going around, and I didn't have a voice, and I was stuffy, and anyway, I'm back. Here we go. I want to thank you all for listening to Secrets from a Phone Sex Queen, everything you always want to know about phone sex and more. I want to thank you for supporting me. Please reach out to me with your questions and comments like I've asked before. If you're listening on YouTube, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you get notified when a new podcast is dropped. So I want to thank you all again. I really appreciate your support, like I said. I wanted to talk about subjects that I used to talk about or try to talk about on the platform where I'm at. I've mentioned, I think, a couple of these before, but people have asked me, and so while I was away, I had some questions. So a friend of mine once said, and I actually got a couple questions about as ASMR, why don't I try it? For those of you who don't know what that is, it's autonomous sensory meridian response. You get a tingling sensation when you hear certain sounds. Besides, the sex sounds, we're talking about regular sounds. It can make you feel relaxed and calm by hearing certain noises. And if you're with someone, it could be smell. But in my case, it's sounds. It's all about sounds. Fingernails like this. Any kind of sound you know. So my friend said, why don't you try that? Because on my platform, I can post several different subjects and talk about different things on different lines. You have a line for Dom, you have a line for sub, you have a line for I'll talk dirty to you, and there's all sorts of different things you can do. I said, okay, I'll post one, and I received 2 or 3 calls, if I remember correctly. It was a while ago. One of them was long, and 2 of them were very short. And it's been a while, and I don't remember exactly what I was doing to make the sounds, but I do remember I did not enjoy it. I didn't feel like I was good at it. I watched, of course, you know me, I watched videos, and I wanted to perfect it, but it really wasn't for me. It wasn't at all. I wasn't good at it. You want to do things that you're good at and that you derive pleasure from, well, more or less. And that maybe you enjoy it, maybe you don't, but I wasn't not only good at it, I didn't enjoy it. So I stopped doing that. I didn't get any requests after that and very few before that, but I thought I'd try it. So that was an epic fail in my books. No one left a comment or anything, so I don't know if it was an epic fail, but for me it was. Then somebody else said, I take suggestions. I'm agreeable. Then someone else said to me, why don't you do the whisper thing where you whisper, you talk softly, and you put someone to sleep, and that's what you want. You want to put them to sleep, rock them to sleep, whatever the case may be. And I tried that too, and I got a couple calls. None of them were successful. Not that I literally wanted to put them to sleep, but I wanted to relax them. And it wasn't necessarily that I wasn't successful. It was just not, again, it wasn't for me. I didn't feel like whispering or being wispy because what I realized quickly was that these people weren't talking back to me. They wanted to relax. They didn't want to chat. And you know me, I don't like one-way conversations. I want someone to talk back. I want to have a conversation, even if it's us moaning and groaning and coming or whatever. I want feedback. I don't want to be talking and talking and talking, right? I mean, I could do a podcast. That's fine. I'm relaying information to you, but when somebody calls you, you want to have a conversation of some kind, and I don't want to just sit here and yammer on and put them to sleep. So that didn't last very long. I always say you should know what you're good at and do that, and I've tried so many things, and I've realized what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. And like I told you before in many, many, many of my podcasts, the other thing I tried was to be a dominatrix. I really gave it my all. The reason why I was not successful at that is quite simple, and that is I was never mean enough or strong enough. I didn't know the right things to say to the people that were calling me. I backed down because I felt not worthy of the title of mistress or goddess or whatever. I don't like that. It bothers me because I am not that. I'm not someone who does humiliation, which sometimes goes along with being a dom. And so that's really difficult for me. Reading books, watching movies, watching tutorials, none of them help me because it's not a part of my personality or my nature. I did get a guy, I think there were two actually, who wrote me the other day, and he wrote and said, "Hello, goddess. I am the biggest loser on here. I am a 59-year-old virgin beta wimp. I have no life, have never had a girlfriend. I need a woman to laugh at me, get inside my head, totally destroy me. I deserve to be humiliated, laughed at, insulted, spit on, slapped, kicked in the nuts. This is real for me, not a fantasy, so not so much into pretend role play." Well, you know me, if you've listened to more than one podcast, you know that is not the person I want to talk to. So I said, "Hello, I appreciate what you're looking for, but I am not the person for you. I am not a dom or the person to humiliate you. I hope you find what you're looking for on here." And I didn't hear back, of course, which is great. I don't want to hear back from him. Another person wrote me and said to me, "I crave finding a very strict dom who decides to make me her long-term chastity slave and tricks me into obtaining sufficient blackmail material and then confronts me and informs me that playtime is over and my life as her slave just began. Any interest?" Well, what do you think? No. No interest whatsoever. Yeah. I've spoken with some women who have very strong personalities and would love to humiliate and verbally torture a man. Say something like, "You scum sucking," whatever the case may be. "You have no balls," whatever it is. I am so far from that, I can't even think of what to say. And if I had a script in front of me, maybe, but I wouldn't take myself seriously. So I can't imagine that a caller would take me seriously. So again, that type of call wouldn't work for me either. And I know that there are plenty of women that are on the platform who would be happy to talk to these men. And I think that these guys reach out to several women at a time, hoping that one will write back saying, "Yes, you bleep," whatever it is, whatever they have to say back, that these guys just salivate and say, "You're the woman for me. You're the dom for me." I think I've told you this before, that when I get emails or chats like that, my ass puckers, and I'm like, no, 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 no. What about my picture or my profile makes you think that I'm a dom? Because I don't mention dom at all, ever, in any of my profiles. But they try. I tell people I can be assertive, I can be aggressive, but I will not humiliate, call you names. I mean, I know I've told you about the little dick loser. I'll say that, you're a little dick loser and you deserve whatever you deserve. But the difference there is I can say it and laugh, and that's okay. He doesn't mind that I laugh. The other one is they want me to be strict, mean verbally, abusive, and I just don't have that in me. I, I applaud all the women who can do all the things that I'm unable to do. Again, my friends have said, or other people as well have said, "Well, why don't you just think about men and what pisses you off and then just take it out on all these guys?" I can't do that. It's not my nature. I received a chat the other night. I told you there's chat and then there's emails and stuff like that. We get different ways of communicating. And what I find interesting is people will write and say something and they want me to respond, and I do. And what usually happens typically is they'll either chat back with you and you'll have this chat relationship, or they'll call you. So what I mean is, this guy writes to me, "I want to jack off with your pantyhose till I'm ready to come, then put the vacuum over the head of my cock when I'm ready to blow." My response was, yeah, do it. Nothing. It's really interesting that people write, but they don't continue to write. Then there is another one. "Hey there. I've recently developed a hardcore addiction to shemale porn. I would love to fantasize about finding a sexy shemale and breaking her in. Any interest in chatting or hearing more?" I said, "Yeah, sounds fun." Crickets, nothing. I'm like, what is happening? Why aren't you writing me back? Why aren't you responding? So there's another one where he's written me 2 days in a row. The first one was, "It's Todd, your ex-husband. Anyway, I'm leaving the bar and wanted to stop by our house. I'm 2 minutes away. I miss your female scent and you being kinky. Let me know. I said, well, Todd, you can stop by. Nothing. Doesn't write me back, doesn't call me. The next day, he writes me, hey, it's Todd, your ex-husband. I was going to stop by our house last night, but it got too late. I miss feeling you next to me as well. I miss your natural female scent, odor as well. I'm close by our house. Tell me if you want me to stop by or not. Absolutely, come on by. Nothing. Now, I don't know if these guys get busy, if they get distracted, if they get interrupted, if they found another girl that writes more than me. But in the past, this would lead to a conversation, a phone call, a chat back and forth. Nothing. I'm not really sure if I'm not responding enough or what the case may be, but I've mentioned this also. You never know what somebody is looking for. You write too much, they don't write you back. They don't write enough. I don't write enough, they don't write you back. Sometimes you just can't win. And I sit here and I shake my head and I go, what in God's name are you looking for? What are you looking for? And so you don't hardly ever know unless they tell you. I had a call the other night, new caller, good call, but towards the end he was calling, call me daddy. And I've talked about phone calls that morph. And it's typically the morphing thing is when a guy morphs from a woman to a man or vice versa, man to a woman, or I'm now a man, whatever the case may be. You have to, I call it following the bouncing ball, because a phone call will start out one way and it'll be great. And then it'll morph into something else and you have to follow it. You can't put the brakes on it. You've just got to go with it and hope that you follow in the right way so that you don't sound distracted or distressed, or you don't want to talk about this or you don't want to talk about that unless you don't. If it gets to a point where it's, something that you really don't or can't talk about, then you can say something. So, it's a crazy thing out there. The advice, I've said this before, the advice I would give anyone who wants to do this, whoever they are, is that you're comfortable with what you say. I would love to train people to do this, but definitely not Dom or ASMR or any of the things that I've tried. It's really an interesting way to get to know yourself. Like I said before, you really do learn a lot about yourself by doing this. Do you stay the same and you don't like what you don't like and you'll never change? I mentioned in some of my earlier podcasts about the C word, how it really means something to a lot of people and it's very horrible and terrible. And then to other people like me, it means nothing. It holds no water. It just is another word to me. But everybody's different. And the transformation of people is pretty incredible. There you go. There's a lot of things I'm not good at. I'm not proud of some of the things I talk about that, you shouldn't talk about, but I'm also very proud at being able to say no. And the platform I work on definitely lets me do that, because before, when I was working at these other companies, if someone wanted me to be a dominatrix, I had to be, as bad as I am. And of course they'd hang up, and then you don't have your hold time where you have to keep them on the call for 5 minutes, and then you don't get paid, and then, and it becomes very disheartening when you work for a company and you aren't allowed to turn a call down or, tell someone you're really not interested in that or you're not good at that, because the caller will realize that you are not good and you are not the person that they want to talk to. So that is enough with that. I hope to get some calls this week that I can relay to you, and some other calls will come back to me. But in the meantime, I want to thank you again for listening to Secrets from a Phone Sex Queen. Everything you always wanted to know about phone sex and more. If there is someone out there who's really good at being a dominatrix, you can certainly contact me. Maybe I can learn from you. Please reach out to me with your questions and comments at phonesexqueen1@gmail.com. New episodes will drop every Monday. I promise I will do my very best. Check me out on Facebook at CJ's Podcast and Instagram at PhoneQueen1. If you are listening on YouTube, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you get notified when a new podcast is dropped. Once again, thank you so much, and until next time, stay sexy.